the Illuminati is a word I don't even like using. It's because it's very misleading. These people are not that mysterious or that in control. A lot of them are just buffoons, but they do taunt like all psychopaths. And they're not that cool. They're not like, they're not cool enough to be Bond baddies. In many cases, Chris, it's actually synchronistic. It's a part of this amazing reality we live in, where the universe screams to people like us, pay attention. There's bigger shit going on here than they're telling us. And this is what I've discovered is what this stuff really means. It's really telling us from our lower poles of cognition notice these things. We notice things that maybe they're by purpose or maybe by accident, but it's our subconscious minds, our lower poles of cognition saying, pay attention, this is deep. And on any other day of the week, the number of that Coast Guard vessel could have meant nothing. But on that particular day, I really do believe that whole event regarding that submarine is very, very deep. It's way beyond anything to do with a psyop. It's almost like a very deep metaphysical thing. I don't know if you want to go there, but it's what Confucius said about signs and symbols rule the world is absolutely true, completely 100%. And most of them are synchronistic flags that's telling us to watch, be careful, don't go there, don't do this. But yeah, exactly. We have to pay attention to these things. There's no doubt about it. But we have to be very careful of jumping to absolutes, because life isn't like that, and therefore these things that happen aren't like that either. But yeah, you were right to notice it. My litmus test. Now, look, I get it. Some people don't like me because I turn around and say, no, not everything is a psyop. In fact, psyops are actually quite rare. Most of the times it is what it says on the tin. And but my litmus test for telling if it's a psyop or not is the profile of the, shall we say, the occupant, in that case, the occupant of the hotel room. Whenever it's legit, it's a real attack. The media will profile to the nth degree every aspect of the assailant's life. You see that with Ted Kaczynski. You see that with all these shooters who go crazy in American colleges and stuff like that. However, in the case of the guy in that hotel room, literally all we got of him was a photograph from drunk in a pub holding a shot glass. They don't go remember your man Barry George, I think it was his name, who was accused of the Jill Dando thing. We got a complete bio on him, and the man was completely innocent. This guy in the hotel room, we got nothing. And that seems to be their calling card. When these things happen, wait a few weeks to see what's the biography of the individual accused is. If they don't have much info on them, or don't present much info, or present just a picture to make them look bad, or one little thing, be very wary. We know about this from Gladio back in the 1980s and 90s when they were caught murdering people in Belgium. And this is what they do. And then you try to find about the assailants and stuff, you find nothing. So that's a good calling card. Wait a while and see what the actual profiles are. If they're ridiculous and cartoonish, they're fake. If they say nothing, you probably are looking at a psyop. This one, all the photographs, the celebrity, the hand in their eye like that, and you see them saying, "Oh, that's a sign of the Illuminati. That means the Illuminati." And no, it doesn't. That's a European folk magic thing called a Patriotic Magic, which means to ward off the evil eye. I do it myself. It's a very big thing in Southern Europe. If you have one eye showing, you're less likely to be fascinated and attacked by people who have malicious intention towards you, because they need two eyes to do it. This is why, and this is the thing. They take stuff that they use themselves and use it against us. You ever seen a picture of a king or a queen on a coin? It's only ever shows one side, the profile of the head. So they're doing all this stuff but then feeding out to alt media. Oh, if you do this, or through that Christian thing, it's a sign of the devil and this kind of thing. Our ancient pagan ancestors and our folkish ancestors, who were even in pagan times, used those things because they knew they had powerful magical protection, and they've taken that thing around now, like this one that wards off the devil. That's what that means. Wards off evil, not the devil. The devil is a Christian creation; it doesn't exist. But that wards that thing there, invoking the power of Pan, the god, the horned god Pan, this kind of thing. And they've twisted stuff around And they say, "Oh, I can't listen to Black Sabbath anymore because Ronnie James Dio is doing this." God, man, what are you, a Puritan living in the 1600s? So people have to be very careful. Research, look at those things you're looking at, and look at everything, but don't nail your colors to one mast.
And I would always see my grandmother when I was a little kid, with her holding my hand and walking down the street. She would see someone and go, "What's that?" And eventually learned that it was called the Maloik. And the Maloik was, someone was giving us the evil eye, so she's giving it protection against the evil eye.
Now, regarding the Titanic thing, my friend here in Ireland, Christian Morris, who's on Odyssey on Christian Morris TV, has covered this very eloquently from a spiritual point of view, and I tend to agree. The Titanic has been worshipped as a dark god. Now, I know this may sound preposterous to people, but in Greek paganism and ancient Greek philosophy, there's a thing called an egregore, that if you pour enough energy into something, it actually becomes like a living being, a god that requires sacrifice. So you have things that are like historical events and objects that have emotional and energy poured into them to the degree that it almost within the human subconscious takes on the form of a god. It needs worship and it needs veneration, and it's usually dark. And the establishment have always known this. This is why they make days of commemoration and stuff like that. I'm not disparaging men, service people who died in wars. It's nothing to do with that. I'm talking about the bloodlust of the ones who send them there. And these egregoric or egregorian elements, I think, are very powerful in Titanic. Literally, people worship that thing like it's a god, especially since that bloody awful James Cameron movie back in the late 90s, I think it was. And you hear stories of people wanting to get married down there and falling in love with it and these kinds of things. And this endless, if you type in Titanic into the internet, before this event happened, there are literally millions of videos on YouTube covering people are utterly obsessed with this thing. That thing is sequestered at the bottom of the ocean, the abyss, a place where humans are not supposed to be. What's down the bottom of the ocean is as alien to us as the abyss in magic, from which all the demons and entities all come from. And when you build a submersible and go down there, it's no different than a magician going into the abyss to summon up a demon like Choronzon or something like that, like Crowley did in the desert of Libya. You think of the submarine as a magic circle, just like the magician has prepared his magic circle to invoke some demon or some holy guardian angel. And we know what happened with Crowley in the desert with Victor Neuburg and him summoning Choronzon. The same thing could be thought of that sub. It went into the abyss, right? And it went down there. Now, in ritual magic, if you don't have your magic circle properly prepared, the demon will devour you. Well, their magic circle was this poorly made sub that went down there. Now, I know that sounds way out there to me, but that's the only thing I can come up with, because immediately I'm an old-fashioned horror for like that kind of feeling. When something gives me a feeling, I go with it. A truck drove into Dublin Castle by mistake with the all-seeing eye on the side. It was an advertisement for an optics company, but the guy was saying the vote has passed. A truck drove by him with the all-seeing eye on the thing.
And the Maloik was, someone was giving us the evil eye, so she's giving it protection against the evil eye.
If you have one eye showing, you're less likely to be fascinated and attacked by people who have malicious intention towards you.
Like the animals, we don't destroy our own environment.
And that wave function is collapsing. And that's why we're seeing all this insanity around us, this strangeness around us.